there, Laura Wilson from Gold Star Work here. Now today I'm going to be finishing off this poppy painting. If you've been watching my daily painting exercises, you would have seen how I've been practicing different compositions in preparation for doing this painting. And if you're wondering how I've done the background here, I have actually shown you a video of that on day 7 and day 8 of my Building a Daily Art Habit series, so you can go back and look at those if you're curious about how I've done this background so far. So let's go and get painting. So I've done my 4 practice paintings now, and I am ready to go on to do my bigger picture. And I've had a look at my different compositions, and although I quite like this one, because I had started the background for my other one before I did my practice pictures, the background that I've got would suit this one or this one or this one better than this one. So I'm actually going to do the L composition here for the poppy painting I'm doing today. This isn't a sponsored video, but there are a couple of affiliate links in the bottom there if you would like to purchase some of the things that I've been using. So I'm using Atelier Interactive acrylic paints, and I use these all the time. I use them almost exclusively in all my painting, and I'm also using the Atelier Clear Painting Medium, and I use this a lot too. So these are paints that I enjoy using, and I recommend to you and show you how I use them. So if you would like to buy any of these paints, you can go down into the description box and click on the link there, and I will get a very small percentage of what you get. It's like a few cents, but it just helps me out in making these videos. So let's get going. So today I'm going to be doing the main flowers. I've decided to do the L shape, so my main flower is going to be down here where my golden mean lines meet in this right hand area of the picture, and I'll be putting a bumblebee on this one here right where they meet. So my main area of focus will be right here, and then on these other points where my golden mean lines meet, I will be putting different elements to draw your eye around the painting. Now, because I want this flower to stand out the most and the other ones to be more in the background, or not so much in the background because that's what these ones around here that you can vaguely see are, but just not to stand out as much as this one here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do one coat of my tinting white on all the actual flowers. So I have done a quick sketch on my picture with my chalk pencil. You won't be able to see that on camera because I can hardly see it myself, but it just gives me a bit of a guideline. When I was doing my practice ones, I didn't bother with that. I just freehanded it. So you can either draw out your poppies or you can freehand it, just whatever you find is easier for you. And even when I'm doing my white, I'm not just blocking it, the whole thing in with no thought to the direction that the petals will go in. I'm thinking about how the petals will be shaped, and I'm doing my brush strokes accordingly. For my main flower here, I'm going to go over it again using titanium white, and this is the Atelier interactive acrylic paints as well. It's just in a tub instead of a tube because I go through so much white. I buy it by the tub full rather than in little tubes. I just buy the little tubes for when I'm travelling or when I want to do painting outside and take my paints with me. Then I'll take my little tubes rather than a big tub full of paint. But as you can see, the titanium white is a lot thicker and it gives a lot more of an opaque coating, so it's covering up all that background. And I'm just going to do this on this one flower because this is going to be my main flower, because I want the colours on this flower to really pop. I want the colours on these flowers to show up against the background, and I want them to look further forward than some of these little background bits here, but I don't want them to overtake this main flower. So I just use the tinting white for these ones, and as you can see, that is a lot more transparent, so you can see through into the background there. So the colours that I put on top of there are not going to stand out as much as the colours I put on this one. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my cadmium yellow medium, and I'm going to do the light bits on my flowers. So I'm going to do all of these ones at the same time, and then you'll be able to see how the yellow shows up a lot better on this one than on these ones. So I'm thinking about where I want my light to come from, and I'm putting my lights in, my yellow in, where I want my lightest part of my flower to be. Now the method's a bit different when I'm doing these flowers with the white, because I'm going to be using the clear painting medium later for glazing. I want to make sure that my lights are light enough. So instead of working from dark to light, I'm working from light to dark. So I'm doing my lightest colours first, and then I'll work on my darker colours, glazing over the top. And then I'll come in with some more light to just bump up the highlights. So that's a little bit different from what you would do a traditional acrylic painting very often. And sometimes flowers and sometimes sunsets need that kind of treatment, especially if you've got a lot of yellow in a sunset. You need to do those light colours first and then build the dark around it, rather than do the dark and then do the light on top. That's just the way I like to do it. And because the Atelier interactive paints do dry darker, like a lot of acrylic paints do, you have to take that into account when you are choosing your colours. So I'm thinking of my light coming in here and hitting the edges of the flowers from this direction. So that's why I'm putting the yellow in these spots. But you can see how the yellow that I've got on top of that really bright white stands out and is a lot more bright than the colour that's on top of the other ones. On some of the darker areas, I'm not going to use the darkest paint, but I'm going to use this Naphthol Crimson, So this isn't going to be my darkest dark, but it's going to help me define where the dark areas are going to be. I'm going to use the Naphthol Red Light. I'm going to use some permanent Sap Green with some cadmium yellow medium, and I'm just going to fill in the light shades on the bits. So with my Naphthol Red Light and my clear painting medium, I'm going to mix those together to glaze over these flowers. So I'll leave a link down in the description if you're interested in buying this clear painting medium. It's one I use all the time in my paintings and find very useful. So I've put a little bit on my plate, so that's the clear painting medium and the paint, and I'm just going to mix a little bit of it together. So if I want it more opaque, I just put more paint in it. And if I want it more transparent, I mix in more glaze. And I can do that on the picture before it dries, as well as on my plate. So just get a kind of a bit of a mixture going. And then I can adjust it as I go. And you can see how I can see the colours underneath coming through. So the yellow is coming through and making that colour brighter, and then the darker red is coming through and making it colour darker. And what it's going to do is help me bring dimension into my flower, but unify the flower and all the colours. So now I'm going to be using my permanent alizarin and some clear painting medium, and I'm going to be working on more of the shadows and shaping those petals. I'm going to use my Pthalo Green and mix that with my alizarin crimson. So this makes a really dark colour. So you can get an almost black colour. Now I don't want an almost black colour at the moment, but you can get a beautiful black colour. I use this colour when I'm doing ladybirds and things. And I'm going to mix a bit more of the red into it, just to make a really dark red. And then I'm going to use the clear painting medium again and share that colour out. So it's like a really dark purple. And when I do the stalks and things on here, I will add more green in, so it's less of a dark purple and going more towards the green side for that dark green there. So I've taken my dark colour and I've added some white into it and a little bit of that cadmium yellow medium to make this sort of grey green, and that's going to be the middle of my flower. So I want to add a bit more highlight in on these little buds, and to do that I'm going to use the same green as I used in the middle there, the same mixture. And I'm just giving those buds a little bit more of a rounded shape by thinking about where would the light be hitting them. And I'm just using that main green colour that I used for the middle there on the buds as well. So I'm using that colour that I used in there in other places in the painting to bring the painting all together. So when this is dry, I can come in then and look at where I want my lighter areas and where I want a bit more contrast. So I'll be using that darker red mixture again. With the clear painting and medium mixed in for any areas that I want to darken up and make a bit more contrast with. And I can mix some of my cadmium yellow deep with my Naphthol Red Light to make a bright orange, and mix that with my clear painting medium to just go over those areas where I want the light to be. So I'm just deepening this out and brightening it. And if it gets too orange, I can always glaze over it again with some more of just the Naphthol Red Light in the clear painting medium. And it just smooths it out more so you don't get any patchiness. Now, because this one here is supposed to be more in the background and this one's supposed to stand out more, I just want to fade out some of those dots because they're a bit in your face there. Now this is where using the interactive paints is really helpful because I can just spray that with water and reactivate the paint. And then with my mop brush, I can just very, very gently fade that out a little bit. And you can see now that it's not as defined as this one here because I don't want the middle of this flower to compete with that flower over there. I'm going to be standing back and looking at this and seeing where I want to add more highlights. So I've got the basic shapes, the flowers and things, and I haven't gone into too much detail with this one yet, and I haven't done all the little fluffy bits on the stalks and things. What I think I need to do now is put in my bumblebee so that I can see just where I want that play of shadow and light and dark for my main focus area. So that's the next thing that we need to do, is put the bumblebee in. There's my little bumblebee. Now, I don't want him floating on top of that flower, so I'm going to put in a little bit of shadow. And to make the shadow colour, I'm going to just use the dark colour with a bit more red in it and water it down a bit so I can show the shadow of that little bumblebee. So before I do my white bits, I'm going to do the little hairy details on the stalks and the buds. This bit here is, there's quite a contrast here with the dark stalk and the light right behind it. That was just done kind of accidentally. So I think I'll put a little bit more of that red behind there, just so that it's not competing with this bit over here. See how putting in those little bits of detail has drawn the picture together so that this fluffy little bumblebee isn't all detailed all by himself, but he's still standing out more than the other bits. And often white disappears in your painting and you need to do more than one coat, so I'm just adding a little bit more white on him to brighten up that little bit there. And we nearly finished this picture now. And so now it's just a case of refining areas. So I might be darkening up some areas or lightening up some areas until I'm happy with what's going on. So this painting is now finished of my poppies. I hope you enjoyed seeing that, and I hope it gives you a few ideas on how to do some flowers for yourself and painting the bumblebee and things and composing your picture in a way to lead the eye around your painting. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, please don't forget to like and subscribe so that more people can see these videos and learn about painting too. That would be great, and I will see you next time. So happy painting everyone. Bye.